Okay, eliminating the parameter. This is for assignment B in this section. And we have 2 videos for this, and then we have 1 video for assignment C. This one is eliminating the parameter. So sometimes we are given parametric equations, and we want to turn them into normal equations, that is, equations without a parameter. That's called eliminating the parameter. Makes sense, right? So I wrote all that out there. So example, suppose x equals t squared, y equals t cubed, and t is between 0 and 2, including the endpoints. Eliminate the parameter. So first, I would solve for t in the second equation. Now, why did I use the second equation, not the first? If I use the first equation, x equals t squared, I solve for t, I get t equals plus or minus square root of x, which is not a function. I don't like that as much. If I had to do it that way, I would, but I don't like it as much, so I used this one instead, because this just gives you t equals cube root of x. It's simple. And then you take this value for t and plug it into this value, x equals t squared. And what you get is x equals the cube root of y squared, which you could rewrite as x equals the cube root of y squared, where the y squared is inside the radicand. Those really mean the same thing. And so that's eliminating the parameter. Pretty straightforward. Now let's think about what is the domain of this function and what's the range. First of all, notice x is the dependent variable here. The independent variable is y, because I've solved for x. So the domain of this will be values of y, and the range will be values of x. Okay? Because we say x is a function of y. In most ones we've seen y as a function of x, because you solve for y equals blah, 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 right? But here you have x equals blah, blah, blah. So the domain is actually values of y, and the range is values of x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph y against t, because I know t goes between 0 and 2, so I want to see what does y go between. And when you plug those in, you see that y goes between 0 and 8, including 8. This is actually part of a cubic equation, right? Y equals t cubed. This is t, not x. So y goes between 0 and 8, including 0 and 8. Then do the same thing with x. Graph x against t, and you get this, a little piece of a parabola. And you see that x goes between 0 and 4, including the endpoints. So that is actually the range of this thing. The domain of this thing is here. Y is greater than or equal to 0, less than or equal to 8. Okay? Usually in an answer we would put the domain next to it because that determines the range, even though we might have to think about it a bit. So I just made a note of this. X is a function of y, so this is the domain, so you don't get confused. I thought the domain was y. Yeah, but we kind of switched the rules of x and y here. So you have to be able to do that. So I just made this note I mentioned before. I didn't use t equals plus or minus square root of x because it's not a function. So the answer does not come out as nicely.